Good morning to everybody. Good morning, everybody. Later, before we end our lesson today, we're gonna have our picture taking so that we may know who are absent today, this morning, and they will not be uh, record their works on our face-to-face on Wednesday. So I already messaged you in our GC. You must remember my message. Okay? So keep all your notes so that on Wednesday, no one is excused to absent on Wednesday because that is a recording day for us. Okay? For the midterm period. So today is the last topic of our midterm. That is oral presentation. So in our presentation, there are 3 learning outcomes. Can you read number 1, Avendaño?
Effect, Effectively deliver the introduction and conclusion of your oral presentation to create lasting impressions.
Number 2, Painaga?
Sir, rinig po.
Yup.
Employ vocal and physical factors, eye contact and presentation aids for effective delivery and
And number 3, Antonio Charles? Antonio Charles? Charles Antonio? Wait. Yes, go. Sorry. Go, Charles.
Critic and oral presentation.
Okay, so today, our topic is about the oral presentation because at the end of semester, in purposive communication, you are gonna do a research work. Okay? That's according to Dean Alba. So you are gonna do a research work. So let us first know how to present orally. Okay? How to present something orally. So in preparing a speech or oral report, some students or professionals do not like the idea of speaking in public. Of course, Sino ba naman gusto magsalita in public, in front of the class, in front of the students and in the class? You feel nervous or nervousness, okay? So, nakaka, nakakakaba when you are in front of a small or large group. Just the thought that they will be facing people already makes them jittery. However, this is a normal part of life. When you become professionals, there will always be a time that you will face an audience, like you in your allied course. After after you finished your studies, after you take the board exam, after you pass the board exam, of course, you will gonna speak to a lot of people, and you will going to enhance and develop your speaking skills and of course your self-esteem as well. So whatever the case may be, you need to exude some degree of confidence as presentation of oral reports because at before you graduated to this course, when you are in third year or fourth year, you will have your thesis or research work. Okay, so as a student, you should this take this subject seriously. Any opportunity that comes your way and that requires you to deliver a talk, because we will gonna do that at the end of semester. Okay, each one of you will gonna talk. Being able to speak effectively in front of an audience will always be an advantage. Some professionals become more sought of speakers. They are invited for a keynote speech or a lecturer of a selected topic or inspirational talk as well. So, we have the general principles of effective communication and principles of effective oral communications. Number one of that you must consider is your audience. Be aware of your listener's profile, their age, gender, educational background, religion, economic status, and interest. Okay? That you can avoid discussions that may be contrast. Sometimes it is contrast to the audience beliefs and practices, and misunderstanding and miscommunication. Secondly is logistics. It is something basic or essential for every speaker to know who is organizing the event. Like, you able to tie up the early presentation with your own, for example, collaboration of oral presentation, logistics. Venue, equally important, locate the lights. If you have movable visual aids, know where to position them. So you as a speaker, you should always how to know to position yourself and how you should move in front to get attention of the listeners. And remember, posture is important and avoid bad habits when speaking. Facilities. Facilities should match the presentation's aids that you will gonna use. If there are no available projector, find another way like visual aids, TV, and others. If you are using educational technology, you can use that if you have. But and if that is also necessarily for you. Number three is the content of report, speech, lecture. Of course, the content, the information that you will gonna say to your audience. Because you have been invited as a speaker, the organizers must have sought due to reputation of an effective speaker. So it aims to inform, like an in convention, conference, training seminar. You are expected to contribute to a new information that they do not know about that. Okay? How do you prepare for a big event? First, you read a lot. Read a lot. Research on a topic assigned to you. Fast changing times. If there's a latest issues, trend, informations, read about it. Prepare your oral presentation, different techniques of your opening and closing your presentation. Sometimes, when you are opening a presentation, it's just a picture, and if you are closing, and a picture always, there will be a guided questions that your audience must answer about it, and the question should be related to the picture itself. And in the closing presentation, of course, in closing, um maybe it is a quote that is related to the topic of yours. Okay, rehearse, practice, rehearse by practicing aloud and getting feedback during the rehearsal stage. And most probably, if you want to rehearse, you invite your family, friends to listen to you as a part or an example of they are the audience of yours. Okay? And of course, for the introduction, you just say this statement I would like to talk about. I believe that the topic is, so it's up to you. And for the conclusion, these are the following sentences that you may use in order for you to end your speech. Use technology, because when you are using technology, it is some way that, of course, your audience are visual learners. They are visual listeners, of course. So you must put technology as a part of an audio, visual aids, and others, and to easily follow the discussion, because they are not only hearer of the information but also the visuals. See the highlights of the presentation. Okay, and sorry, and a lot more. Okay. Please watch this sample of presenting oral about the work of a person.
The rest of this session, until we have our break, which is going to be probably round about 3:30, it might be a bit earlier, depending on how many examples I decide to give you. I've got a lot of personal experiences. Right, this is presenting the talk. This is you. You're standing behind the podium, the lectern, and there's a laptop, hopefully in front of you. Hopefully it's not somewhere over there where you have no control over it. And you're standing in front of an audience of 247 scientists in a darkened room. They can see you, but you can't see them. Or maybe you can see them, which is even worse. And you can see their eyes looking at you. Oh dear, this is when the heart starts to beat quickly. And you think, I really don't want to be here. I wish there was a big hole that would open up. Or maybe I can just fall asleep and wake up when my talk is finished. Well, has that happened to me? I can't remember, actually. A lot of my childhood just sort of, I don't remember it. Well, it wasn't my childhood, but my early adulthood as well. Can't remember it. Right. Do prepare yourself properly before the start. Try to relax. And I've got some examples. Well, I'm not going to demonstrate. One of them's a bit silly, but it's very effective. Actually, Zorka, you may have been on one of the training courses when you were advised to lie on the floor. Do you remember that one? Okay. Well, one of the ways of I've got an example. But you can't remember. Don't worry. It may not have been you. You may have. It was a traumatic experience. Yes. Right. I've actually conducted a choir for my sins over the years. It's very fun. Well, it's very amusing to watch some of the people in the choir when they start singing. Conductor beats and they're supposed to come in, and you see them take this enormous breath in the wrong place. They go as they're about to start, and you see the shoulders go up, and the air's just stuck up here. Oh dear. Oh, you didn't record that, did you? No. I can always edit that bit out. But all the breath has gone in the wrong place. It should be going down here into the diaphragm, see? It should be breathing from the diaphragm. See my diaphragm? Well, no. I don't want to extend my stomach too much. Just as well Goggy's gone. But deep breathing exercises are actually very good for helping you relax beforehand. One of the exercises that, and I've been to some acting classes, so these are exercises that actors are given. And one of them for helping you to relax the muscle, have to put my false teeth back in. The muscles of my diaphragm is actually lying on the floor. Because if you try breathing lying on the floor, and I'm not going to recommend that you try now, but when you're lying horizontally, well, you can't lie any other way, I suppose, but when you're lying down, for some reason, the muscles that are involved in breathing, they sort of relax so that you breathe with the diaphragm as you're supposed to breathe. I suppose if you were heavily pregnant, that might be a challenge. But fortunately, that's not been a problem that I've had to worry about. And then you go to these antenatal classes where they learn, you do all the breathing from up here. No, you don't do that when you're giving a scientific presentation. You breathe from the diaphragm. So, oh yes, that's Macedonia. Right. So you relax your shoulder muscles. Yes, do a bit of this. Your colleague sitting next to you might think, "Is happened to him?" But it does actually work. It helps relax the muscles. And what if you go to an acting class? They say helping you. You just sort of do this and go all floppy. Just what? Fly. Yes. Letty. No. So, well, if I smoke the right stuff, I can easily fly. So, okay, relax. My...
He said that on TV. It's recorded.
Well, I'm supposed to have a session editing it, so I can edit out all the right stuff. Okay, check. No, this is serious now. Check that your notes are in order, and also something. And I do have this. Have a PDF version of your presentation available as well, just in case there are any last-minute problems with the computer that you're going to use. Check that you have a drink. I've got a drink here. One of the signs of fear is that when you start to speak, your mouth dries up. You lose the saliva from your mouth. I don't know whether anybody has experienced that. Yeah, when I go onto the stage for the first time, it's always, oh dear, and then I relax. But if you've got a glass of water available or something, well, whatever takes your fancy, well, whatever is provided. Well, yes, as long as it doesn't, I mean, in my case, it would just help me fall asleep, but it does help to lubricate the mouth. Then check how the microphone works. Yes, I've got a slide coming up later on using the microphone. Because using a microphone, it's a whole new technique. It's something that you've got to be aware of, and I've got some comments that I'll make about the microphone coming up. But microphones can be a mixed blessing, and I personally don't like using them. But when I have to use them, I have tried to learn how to use them, and I'll demonstrate some of the techniques later on. And check that a pointer of some sort is available if you want it. I have forgotten to bring my patented pointer. I'm very cross with myself. I've left it, ooh, it's undone. I've left it in my flat in Belgrade. Oh, very cross with myself. It's a special pointer that I doubt if anybody else has got one like it. I stole it from one of my daughters about 5 or 6 years ago. Well, she had thrown it out, so I thought, well, I can make use of this. It was the radio aerial. You know, one of these aerials, radios, a telescopic thing. It was ideal. I just unscrewed it from the back of the radio, and there it was. I nearly lost it on one occasion. I nearly lost it at Tivat Airport. Because for years I was carrying it around in the bottom of my briefcase without any problem. And I'd been flying around Europe without any problem with this. But I was just going through security at Tivat Airport, and I was stopped by the man looking at the computer. And he says, "You've got something metal in your bag, sir." Metal in my bag? Oh, that'll be my camera. No, something long. Metal. Oh. Really? Oh, it's my stick. Oh no, you can't have my stick. I need that for all of my courses. He says, "Sorry sir, you can't take that through here. It's a security hazard." Oh dear. But fortunately, our friends who had brought us to the airport, they were still visible, so they were called in and they said, "Oh, we'll take it to Belgrade for you." So fortunately, I do still have it. So that's the stick that I use as a pointer. But there was one talk that I gave at the Faculty of Agriculture in Belgrade. You might even have been there. I think it was was it a crop what talk that I was giving? I can't remember now. I like to check, do things work? Have I got a button? Yes, yeah. So I press their button, nothing, ništa. Oh, somebody else in the audience said, "I've got one, you can use mine." Oh, fine. So again, ništa. And then one of the professors said, Oh, well, if you want something to point with, would you like my stick that I use with my students? I mean, not on my students, but for my student lectures. So I thought that was very nice of her. So after a couple of minutes, she disappeared. And then she appeared, carrying what looked like a small tree. It was about 3 meters long, and it must have weighed about 30 or 40 kilos. How she was able to use this with her lectures, I really have no idea. So I like to try to have my own resources for being able to point. Actually, having realized that I've got this, I suppose I could, oh no. Actually, bet you don't know where that photo was taken. Sremski Karlovci. Last year. Right. Try the pointer. Done that one. Okay. Oh no, I haven't seen those. Oh, you must give me the details afterwards. All right. Have we come to a natural break? Oh, it's the Nema Vazducha. So, oh, I've got that bit about nerves again. Right. Right. Time for a coffee break soon. I'm going all right though. The timing's about right. Probably another 10 minutes. I told you a few minutes earlier that I got a series of web links to various examples. Here's the slide which has got all of those web links, and I've got several presentations that I found on how to overcome presenters' nerves. And the one at the end I like very much. It's Mark Anthony, who's a former drama teacher, and it shows. It shows in the way that he interacts with his students. And he talks about points that you should avoid when you're giving talks. Getting nervous before a presentation is normal. Well, I say even I do this, but I have to admit, not very often. I think I might be more nervous if I was giving a talk in a genuine conference. In an environment like this, it's not a problem. But yes, I would get nervous, but I wouldn't show it. At least, I think I don't show it. Unless you can see the fear in my eyes. So, deep breathing from the diaphragm. Loosen your shoulders, relax the muscles. Be 100% familiar with what you're going to say. Look confident at the start. This is a big secret. The audience doesn't know what you're feeling inside. But if you stand and look confident, upright, and not sort of hiding behind the lectern, So standing in front of the audience, presenting yourself, looking at them, it gives a good impression to the audience. So think about that. And remember that the audience is wanting you to do well. So they want to support you. So effectively, they are on your side. Especially as the majority of them will be foreigners to English language as well. So that should make you feel a little more comfortable. Now, I talked about when I had to survive giving a talk in Serbian. I did actually have to give a talk in Serbian to school teachers in Dom Sindikata in June 2010. And I survived, well, firstly, because it was a relatively relaxed event. In fact, it was so relaxed for most of them that as soon as I stood up, they all walked out. But those who stayed, there were about 50 to 100, I suppose, who stayed. It's difficult to judge in Dom Syndicata because it just disappears into the distance, and you can't see how many people are there. But I started by explaining I had problems with Serbia, grammatica ужасно, Vishak Padeja. Yeah, so I've got them on my side, you see. So after that, it doesn't matter whether I make mistakes. And then I managed to survive my 20 minutes, however long the talk was. Doesn't say that. I managed to survive my 20 minutes by starting off sentences in Serbian until I came to a word I didn't know, or the padej that I couldn't, or the ending that went with that. I knew the padej. It was instrumental, but what the ending is for an adjective that's female, nema pojma. Yeah. So whenever I got to a word I couldn't work out quickly enough, I just sort of casually turned and pointed to the slides, you see, and I've got the Serbian text, a lot of the text in Serbian on the slides. So I just continued to make the sentence up by reading the words that were behind on the screen. And then after that one was finished, then I'd go to the audience and explain in Serbian, I would say a bit about the next slide, and then again I would turn and every so often I'd read the words so that it took the pressure off me a bit. My brain wasn't constantly thinking, oh, grief, it's locative, no, it's the fourth one down, it's instrumental, no, it's dative, and it's male, is it male, or is it, no, it's neuter. And does it come before or after the verb? Does it have se in the verb? I don't know how you manage in your language. Anyway, so there's some advice. Combine a bit of English with English text on the slides, and that may help you to get through it. Do's and don'ts number 2. Do think carefully beforehand about how you will start your talk. As I said, first impressions on the audience are important, and it may be useful to memorize the first 1 or 2 sentences that you want to say, just to help the audience feel at ease. Like when I was at a meeting in Vrnik, I would say, well, my talk was quite early on, so I would apologize for them having to get up early to come and listen to me at 8:30 in the morning, because I'm determined that you're going to enjoy the experience, and I'm going to be talking to you about blah, blah, blah. There was one occasion, I remember I was on the side for some reason, and I had to walk over there, and I got my words, yes, I memorized this. Okay. Blank. What am I going to say? And then, just as it was beginning to get too long a pause, the words came to me. But nowadays, I don't bother working it out beforehand. I just make it up as I go along. Not the science, you understand, but the introductory bit. Okay, so, and it's much better by starting by looking directly at the audience. Ignore the chairman. I've got another slide that mentions the chairman. Ignore the chairman. I mean, you can say thank you. But that's it. These are the people who want to hear you. So stand and look at the audience and then speak at them. Not at the screen, not at the chairman, not up at the ceiling or anywhere else, but at the audience. Look into their eyes. Now you see, people normally don't like to make eye-to-eye contact. Somehow that's a bit personal. You know, and you see people go all around the face to avoid the eyes. Now, were you at that exercise in the Faculty of Biology? Oh, you didn't know? That was a good one. Where this was a technique used by actors to get you to be more relaxed, communicating with people. And you put one person in the middle, and you have all of the others. There were about 15 of them in sort of a semicircle around you. And the one in the middle has to look at each one in turn into their eyes. Go around one by one, making eye contact. And you could see some of them, and these were university professors. It was on a Tempus project. You could see these university professors struggling to do anything as long as it wasn't looking in their eyes. So they would look at the hair, they would look at the ears, they would look at the nose, but the eyes, no, I'm not going to look into your eyes. See, but it's very effective at making communication with your audience. If you look into their eyes, you see she's immediately going to look at me, and you'll follow what I'm saying, you see. So making eye contact with one or two people in the audience is a good technique. Don't start talking immediately. Slight pause. Oh, I'm here. Expectation. What's he going to say? What will he sound like? I've never heard him before. Then you can start. You see this pause, this hesitation. It builds up the audience's expectation, and they want to concentrate on what you're going to say. Do not leave your mobile phone on. Quick check. Oh, mine is still on. Oh dear. Let me turn it off. Now, you know how important mobile phones are. I think there was a survey carried out in Serbia recently that said that the average child uses a mobile phone for about 3 hours per day. What for, I have no idea. I never used mine once in 3 days, but anyway. I was giving a talk in Italy. It was a relatively small event. It was a workshop meeting with about 30 people there. And I was in the middle of my talk, and I was conscious of a brr, 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 brr. And this carried on, and I thought, a bit close. Oh, it's my phone. So I turned it off, all embarrassed like, and carried on. And then afterwards I checked to see what the number was, and it was my wife. She was wanting to find out, how's it going, Steve? Yeah, I mean, it could be the girlfriend or the evening's date. You never know who's going to ring. So make sure your mobile phone is switched off. Do's and don'ts number 3. Do get your audience's attention at the start, speaking slowly, speaking in a clear voice that will be heard at the back of the room. And some of you will probably know who you are. Those of you with a relatively quiet voice, you will have to make the effort to project your voice to get to everybody who's sitting in the back row. So speak to them, not to the chairman. There was one occasion when I was the chairman, and the speaker was standing over there. And after about 3 or 4 minutes, the speaker was he was bored with the audience, and he noticed me. Because he had to pass me to look at the screen. And for the rest of his talk, he put his elbow on the lectern, and he gave the rest of his talk to me. See? I felt like sort of saying, you know, they're out there. But it does happen. So make sure that you do give your presentation to the audience. Do not rock from one foot to the other or sway from side to side. There was a speaker at one of our training courses. I can't remember who he was. I'd never seen him before. But he was unique. Never seen anybody like him previously or since. And whenever he would change his slides, he'd sort of press a button, and then he would automatically go into some sort of simple harmonic motion. His body would immediately start sort of swaying from side to side, and then when he'd get to the end of the slide, he would stop, press the button, and then off he would go again. He was fascinating to watch, but I've no idea what he was talking about. And also, you know about this, the symposium speakers shuffle. I had one of my students this year. Some of my students had to give presentations, And one of them, he was a beautiful example. He's actually a doctor from Libya. And he was giving his talk, and he was doing the symposium speakers shuffle. But in his case, he had found a spot where the floorboards made a noise. So he would go, so throughout his talk, you had this noise as a background. Fascinating. So try to avoid doing that. Do's and don'ts number 4. Try to communicate with your audience and not with the screen. So yes, I have seen, now it depends on which side of you the screen is. Because some people find they can only point at the screen with one arm. It's as if they've lost the use of the other arm, you know. So if you're left-handed, then you end up by doing this, you see, to point at something on the screen. So make sure that you never turn your back fully on the audience. If you want to look at the screen, even if, well, I'm not going to jump over there, but even if, well, no, I wouldn't want to stand in front of it anyway. But you can always look at the screen by just turning your head. Don't turn your body as well, because the audience will notice that. Make statements. What I do find is quite nice. It's a good technique also when giving lectures. Well, of course, you do this anyway with lectures, but keep asking questions. Now, I know you have to ask students questions to find out if they're awake or not, but you can do the same with the audience. Ask them a question. Okay, this is what we found from these results. How do you think we're going to interpret this? Now, the audience isn't expecting to be giving the answer, but it's an opportunity for them to reprogram the brain. Words, 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 blah, 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 blah. Question. Oh, question. Oh, let me wake up again. But it's a way of rebuilding that link with the audience. Yes, I don't know whether I can manage this. Don't speak in a boring tone of voice. The audience will lose interest in you quickly. Yes, some of you may not even have heard what I was saying, but there are some people. I have actually got an example, but to save time, and I didn't want to embarrass anybody who might be a friend of this person. But there is somebody, there was a famous politician who I found extremely boring. He was a wonderful person to listen to, only I would give him 5 for boringness. You might be able to guess who it is, but I won't tell you. But you can use the qualities of your voice, which is a musical instrument. So you can use changes in speed, you can talk quickly if you want to, and you can slow down. You can talk softly so that the audience has to concentrate. And you can wake them up if they've got their eyes shut by raising the volume of your voice. You can also raise the pitch of your voice if you want to. If you want to get to the back of the room, you may be much more effective at reaching the back if you talk higher, at a higher pitch, than talking with a low pitch. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that, but it is one of the qualities that you've got. So try to use your voice as a musical instrument. Do's and don'ts number 5. Blah, blah, blah. Do move around occasionally. Yes, I don't like being in this room. Well, the room, I've got nothing against the room. But I'm conscious, you see, I'm talking to you, but I'm also taking in feedback from my surroundings. And I know that if I move over here, then Tara can't see the screen. Well, you can see a bit of it. Yeah, okay, you can see round. But you see, you've got to be conscious of your surroundings. So I can't stand here, even though it's where the camera is pointing. And if I go over here, well, I'm disappearing. So I'm stuck between there and here. suppose I could go walk over here, but, well, you see the camera's fixed over there, so I can't move too far. But I do not like to stay in one place. I feel uncomfortable if I'm stuck behind the lectern. But if you are going to move for a purpose. Move towards the audience to emphasize something, and then you can go back to the screen to point at something that's on the screen. Take the microphone to the time. Do not use the lectern as a fortress to hide behind. It encourages bad habits like fidgeting and bad posture. So stand to the side. Let me see, I can't remember what's on the next slide. Isn't that number 6? Oh, I've cut out the next slide. Well, no, that is the next slide. But I had a wonderful photograph. I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I mention it. But I've got a wonderful photograph of Vesna's head appearing over the top of the lectern. Because it's too high, you see. See, and she gave her presentation because the laptop was there, you see, so she couldn't move very much. And all the audience could see was this. You see, so you have the similar problem. Yes. You see, so be aware of your environment if you can. Do use a microphone correctly. A lot of people don't know how to use a microphone. They think if it's in front of them, they don't have to speak up. The microphone will amplify what they say. So you find them saying, and my talk is about this, you see, and the microphone is too far away to be able to amplify what they're saying. There's also a very common problem that if you've got a fixed microphone, I don't like a fixed microphone. I take it out and I hold it if I'm going to use a microphone. But a very fixed microphone, you stand talking into the microphone here, but as soon as you want to look at the slide, then you see they can't hear what you're saying. And then you come back to the microphone, and again, it's very loud. So you've got to be aware that you use the microphone. If you want to turn to look at the screen, you move your head like this, so that it's still close to the microphone. Yeah. Anyway, don't fidget, play with the loose change, keys in your pockets, blah, blah, blah. I've mentioned that. Presenting the talk, do's and don'ts, number 7. Yes, ladies in particular. I've seen one lady already doing this. Unfortunately, I don't have enough hair now to be able to demonstrate. But I have seen it happen. Do not fidget with your hair or any other part of your body. My ears. You don't do that in public. Presenting the talks, do's and don'ts, number 8. Do not wave the stick or the laser pointer or your hands around. There's one of my colleagues that I give training courses with, and he likes to use hands. Hands were made for gesticulating with, as if he's Italian. He's not, but he could be, because almost every word he says, if he's saying a sentence, there's a movement every time he says a word, you see. And I think, yes, right, okay, I think you're making your point, but the audience is probably going up and down like this, watching. Anyway. Also, be aware if you're using one of these, I don't think it's a class 3 laser, but you don't want to go pointing it at the audience by mistake. So you do have to take some care. And very often the light isn't strong enough. Oh, also, if you are going to point, try to hold it steady still. I went to a conference on stress physiology, plant stress physiology, and I could see how stressed the speakers were by monitoring how they use the laser pointer. You see, so oh, it's gone dim. Okay, so be careful with that. Do look confident, even though you may not feel it. As long as you look okay, the audience is going to be interested in listening to you, and please do interact with the audience. Look at them and make contact with them. So I think we're getting towards the end. Do not send your audience to sleep by being too quiet or indistinct or uninteresting. Be enthusiastic and the audience will enjoy listening to you. Do keep an eye on the clock, and I'm fortunate that we have a clock there. It's a couple of minutes fast, according to me. Anyway, I should be stopping now because it's just about right, because I've got 1 hour for the last part of the course. So if I stop in a couple of minutes, we should be on time. Keep an eye on the clock, and I've actually been using a feature that's available with PowerPoint. You can put the time on. So if you're looking at your laptop to see the slides, then you can always check the time. So how many more? Slide 58, what's this? Do's and don'ts, number 10. Do concentrate on varying your speed, your volume, and look at the audience. Do send the audience home with a feeling that they have enjoyed the experience. And if you've done your 3 preparations, so should you. And that's the end of this part of the course.
So now we are now on presenting in groups. How do we present if we are in group? Okay. So when making a group presentation, everyone should be a team lead player, and members should not compete with each other. Note that because you're working with a team or a group, there should be a coordination among you. So here are the preparation for your presentation. Number 1 is a specific task to each group. You assign specific tasks to each group member. Number 2, divide the work accordingly. And each member should know the part assigned to him or to her, as well as the time allotted for the assignment. 3, pick a strategy on how you will start and end your group presentation. 4, prepare your audiovisual aids to increase the interest of your learners and hold your attention. Practice yourself and then come up with an acceptable schedule for the team. One in which you can do a group rehearsal. Okay? 6, ask feedback from your teammates on how you can still improve your presentation. In particular, in the group presentation in general. As individual and group presenters, think of possible questions that may arise after the presentation. If you cannot think of an answer, seek the help of your group mates. And number 8, as individual and group presenters, respond to questions effectively during the question time or question and answer time. If it happens that nobody from the group knows the answer, be honest and admit that you will find time to research on that particular matter or question. How to overcome anxiety or stage fright. So many speakers become tense when making small or big presentations. Because, of course, if you are presenting in small and big groups, you becoming nervous only shows that you care about your presentation. You are
In this
concerned about
video,
whether
I
the
will discuss about
audience
the oral
will pick up.
presentation.
Will pick up something from your talk. Even that is a new information, latest comparison, there should be a takeaways. Okay? According to White and Henlinder of 1956, they stated that we do not actually fear the process of speaking as such, but a negative response from the listeners. If their listeners, what people fear is not actual speaking, but the reaction, feedback, or comment from the listeners. Okay? Furthermore, of our topic today, listen to this audio book.
In this video, I will discuss about the oral presentation. Some students and professionals do not like the idea of speaking in public, whether in front of a small or large groups. Just the thought that they will be facing people already makes them jittery. However, this is a normal part of life. When you become professionals, there will always be a time that you will face an audience. It may come as an unplanned activity in which you will be forced to speak impromptu, or it may be a previously planned event that has given you sufficient time to prepare. Whatever the case may be, you need to exude some degree of confidence, as presentation of oral reports or speeches can be very threatening. As a student, you should take seriously any opportunity that comes your way and that requires you to deliver a talk. For example, in a class, there will be instances when you will be asked to make an oral report of a topic assigned to you. You may be asked to deliver a speech as a classroom activity. Though you may find this task difficult, you need to take them seriously as they will certainly benefit you when you become professionals. Being able to speak effectively in front of an audience will always be an advantage. So some professionals become most sought after speakers because of their good oral communication skills. They are invited to give keynote speeches or give lectures on a select topic in conference or give training in seminar workshops. Sometimes, they are also taped to give a sales speech or a product presentation. Likewise, they are asked to deliver inspirational or motivational speeches during graduation ceremonies or in a similar communication setting. So, how do you prepare for this difficult task? In the previous lessons, you already learned some tips from the topics General Principles of Effective Communication and Principles of Effective Oral Communication. These principles are related to public speaking. So, let us consider the following so you can render an effective speech and can be a good public speaker. One is the audience. Under audience, you should know the profile of your listeners. So it is important that you know who will listen to you, their age, gender, educational background, religion, economic status, and interest. Also, know how much the audience knows about the topic. That way, you can avoid discussing points that would run contrary to their beliefs and practices and thus prevent miscommunication and misunderstanding. Further, you can introduce new things for them to learn. So you should not simply repeat things that they may have already learned from previous speakers. Know how to read the posture and gestures of your audience members, as this will signal to you what kind of audience they are. So you should be ready to face different kinds of audiences, as there may be some who are questioners, hecklers, disruptors, hostile, or unresponsive or bored audiences. You should also know how to deal with unpleasant incident or conflict. So you should always stay in control of the situation. Next will be logistics. So it is something basic or essential for every speaker to know who is organizing the event. Know who will be introducing you and who will be speaking before and after you. That way, you will be able to tie up the earlier presentation with your own, resulting in a more coherent presentation. So you may even give the audience an idea as to what the next talk is going to be. Under logistics, we have the venue. So the venue is equally important. So you should locate the lights, and if you have movable visual aids, know where to position them. As a speaker, you should also know how to position yourself and how you should move in front to get the attention of the listeners. Remember to work on your posture and avoid bad habits when speaking. So do not block the view of your visual aids as you present them. So you should employ a balanced posture by not standing on one leg only. Do not lean on any objects that will give support to your weight. These postures gives the impression that you lack confidence and authority. Another under logistics is the facility. So ask beforehand about the pieces of equipment available for you. The facilities should match the presentation aids that you will use. If there is no available projector, find a way to have one, especially if your visual aids are highly complex. If there are any electrical problems or technical glitches you encounter, you should also know how to troubleshoot. So another thing to prepare is the content of report or speech or lecture. Since you have been invited as a speaker, the organizers might have sought because you have the reputation as an effective speaker. If the purpose of the event is to inform, just like in a convention conference or a training seminar, it is expected that you are able to contribute new information. So that is more on information. That is why that is informative. If the purpose is to entertain, your speech should be light-hearted, amusing, and lively. If the purpose is to persuade, your presentation should sound convincing enough. Note, however, that any communicative event may have more than one purpose, but there is always a more dominant one. So, how do you prepare for the big event? Here are some of the tips. First, read a lot. Research on the topic assigned to you. With the fast-changing times, it is certain that there are new developments that have occurred in the field. As a speaker, you should be kept abreast of these new developments by reading a lot. Another is to prepare your oral presentation with an introduction, body, and a conclusion. So there are different techniques to open and close your presentation. So you can use a startling or shocking statements, or you can begin with a question, or you can use a quotation. You can also narrate an anecdote or a story. You can even sing a line from a song, or you can present statistics. The strategy you will employ should match the topic that you will present. For example, you cannot sing a happy song if the topic has something to do with a tragic event. Remember that your introduction and concluding parts will leave a lasting impression on your audience. As regards the body of your presentation, emphasize the major points. So you may wish to make back up with supporting statements to further elucidate your main points. And arrange your thoughts in a logical sequence so that your listeners can easily follow your talk. You can do this by employing transitional or cohesive devices to make your ideas coherent. Next tip is to rehearse by practicing aloud and getting the feedback of those who will act as your audience during the rehearsal stage. So you may invite your family or friends to listen to you while rehearsing. So their comments and suggestions can be useful for you to improve your presentation before the big day. And last tip is to use technology. In this day and age, most speakers use technology. So technology forms part of their audio and visual aids. Through these tools, listeners can easily follow the discussion. So they can follow the discussion easily because they do not only hear but also see the highlights of the presentation. A disadvantage, however, is that some speakers rely on their visuals or visual aids that when technical problems arise, they are caught off guard and their presentation goes awry. Technology tools should be used sparingly. So visuals should be utilized only to enhance your presentations. Thus, do not copy and paste on the slides that you are to say and then simply read them verbatim. It is important that you only use keywords in your slide presentations. Pictures that will represent a concept are also encouraged. The same is true with graphs, tables, charts, maps, quotes, and important passages and sayings. So those are some tips on delivering a speech or a report. Now that you have prepared your report, speech, or talk, you are now ready to make your oral presentation. You have spent a great deal of time reading, researching, and writing this oral output, so you should also do your best to deliver it confidently. When you deliver your report, speech, or talk, make use of both the verbal and the non-verbal code. So in the previous lessons, you already learned that effective communication calls for the blending of the two codes, the verbal and the non-verbal codes. So these two are always linked together. While the former is important, the latter is equally essential as it gives emphasis to a striking thought or idea. So we have the paralinguistic cues. Subsumed under this category are facial expression, posture, gesture, movement, and the dress or attire. First, let us talk about the facial expression. For facial expression, the eyes and eye-to-eye contact are very important. There is the saying which states, the eyes are the window to the soul. This means that by establishing eye contact or true gazing, one can detect the emotional state of a person. For example, it is difficult to hide your real emotions and fake your feelings when people look straight into your eyes. When you are happy, your eyes become bigger without you being conscious about it. When you are sad, worried, or anxious, your eyes become smaller as you raise your eyebrows and make them furrow. So that is facial expression. Next is posture. So posture refers to the speaker's stance. How speakers carry themselves during the presentation will show whether or not they possess credibility. It is important that as speakers deliver their messages, they project an air of confidence so they can get the attention of the listeners and win them over their side. So how do you execute a correct posture? Simply stand comfortably with your feet at least 6 to 8 inches apart with one foot over the other. So your weight should also rest on the balls of your feet and your hands should hang naturally at the sides. Then ask yourself if you are comfortable enough with the way you stand. That is posture. Next is the gesture. So speakers who employ gestures in their speeches or reports are more convincing than those who do not. Gestures are used to make a point more emphatic. However, they should be used only for important points raised as they can become destructive when used often. Gestures abound, so a speaker should know how to create variety. Next is the movement. So gestures are made by some parts of the body such as the hand and the arm. Movement is made by the entire body. Example, the movement of the head, shoulder, feet, etc. So swaying one's body from left to right, side to side, front to back, or pacing from one side to the stage or platform to the other can be exhibiting a negative non-verbal cue. A speaker should know how to move on stage so that his or her movement will not be distracting to the audience. And lastly is the dress or attire. So one way to attract the attention of the audience is by dressing up properly. As a speaker, you should look good and pleasing to the eyes of the listeners. So you should dress appropriately, but do not overdo it as it may create a gap between you and the audience. You should be well groomed with your hair neatly combed and your shoes well polished. So pieces of jewelry or fashion accessories should also be used conservatively. So that is paralinguistic cues. Next is the prosodic features. So when making a presentation, there are features that you need to observe. When you speak, aim at delivering your message clearly through intelligible and comprehensible pronunciation. So you need to articulate the sounds clearly by paying attention to how you move your lips, tongue, and teeth. An aspect of articulation is assimilation. It means blending the final blending the final sound of a preceding word with the initial sound of the following word. For example,
Please open your camera for our picture taking. There are 7 absent. Please take note, Brigino, of the following people. Open your camera for our picture taking. Brigino, pakitake note po yung mga absent today in our Arnold class. Thank you very much and good morning everyone. Goodbye.